Here we are for Bursig Takes a Trip, the Napeague Stretch edition, here in Amagansett, New York. And here am I standing on the Napeague or Napeague Stretch, which is here on Long Island. East Hampton is that way. East Hampton is that way. And then Montauk is that way, out east. So Montauk Point would be that way. Okay, and it's on these very beaches here that you have a lot of history that takes place here on Long Island. Napeague, the thin stretch of land, lies between Montauk and Amagansett. The earliest inhabitants of this area were the Algonquin Indians known as the Montaukets. Here they lived, fished, and farmed. One of the most famous of these Indians was the Montaukett Stephen Talkhouse. Although he lived in the 19th century, it is believed that Talkhouse could walk from Montauk to East Hampton and Sag Harbor round trip in a single day. Today, there is a local Amagansett bar named after him. As it is with many of the Hampton towns on the East End, Amagansett was settled in the late 1600s. So when the earliest settlers were here from Connecticut, back in the 16 and 1700s, one of the things they would do for their trade, I guess you could say, was they would be offshore whalers. And what they would do is they would actually hunt the whale right here from the beaches, just like the name. Whaling, which was such a lucrative trade in the 16, 17, and 1800s, was purveyed here actually on the beaches. The local whalers from East Hampton, Amagansett, Montauk would stand on the bluffs looking out to the ocean, and whales were in such prevalence at that time, they would spot them, run to their boats, run out to the sea, and in their whaleboats they would hunt the whale, strike it with a harpoon, and ride a Nantucket sleigh ride. There on the beach, they would then chop up the whale's blubber, which was used for the lucrative product of whale oil, as well as other products in the 19th century. Offshore whaling eventually gave way to deep-sea whaling. This style was made famous in Herman Melville's Moby Dick. Fishing, of course, was the mainstay of many a Hampton resident. One style of fishing was known as hall seining, where the fishermen, often farmers, could fish right off of the shores. These men were known as baymen. Their lives came to national attention in 1990 when local Long Islander Billy Joel wrote and performed the song The Downeaster Alexa. Of course, the south shore of Long Island was no stranger to shipwrecks. Various vessels from 300 years of shipping can be found wrecked off the shores. One such vessel was the whaling ship the Edmund Quisnel, which ran aground in 1839 in a northeast gale. The morning after the storm, almost a dozen sailors lie dead on the beach, along with their cargo floating in the Atlantic Ocean. One local resident remembered that vision of lifeless bodies lying in the row on Napeague Beach that has followed and haunted me in the darkness of night from that day to this. The local residents still managed to save 2,000 barrels of whale oil, though. Apart from its rich maritime history, this region was also the scene of a German invasion in 1942. That year, a German U-boat landed on the beaches of Amagansett, and a number of spies tried to sabotage the United States. The Germans came ashore from the U-boat and landed on the main beach of Amagansett, which is about a mile or two to the front of us there. There on the beach, they buried their supplies and weapons, etc., into the sand. They were then actually accosted by United States Coast Guard personnel who was walking his beat on the beach. The alarm was spread by the United States Coast Guard, but the spies were able to make their way to the Long Island Railroad and into New York City. Eventually, all of the spies would be captured, and a number of them executed for planned sabotage against the United States. So that concludes this episode of Bursig Takes a Trip, and just remember that, out here in the Hamptons, there's a lot more than just the glitz and the glam and the beach. There's the farmers and the fishermen and all the history that's transpired before we were ever here. So As we always remember, history is always within our grasp. See you later.